Kathy, thanks for joining us this afternoon. One must ask, really, when the courts are going back and forth with this, does the public protector actually know what she's doing?
No, it doesn't look like it. There are some legal arguments in some of the cases that she brings, in some of the cases that she responds to. She's not just talking pure rubbish, but her reports are so routinely overturned, and they are overturned for such fundamental basic non-lawyerly mistakes that no, it doesn't look like she knows what she's doing.
But then that would also go into question those who actually put her there and that seat. In other words, that very would-be transparent and very would-be selection process that was made public, right? Those individuals that were there by Parliament were set aside to actually review and find the right candidate for the job. It goes into question whether or not they did their due diligence in being able to find the right candidate for the job, or are we just making too much of something small?
No, I think we must make a lot of this. The process for the selection of the public protector was indeed very open. It was public. We saw which questions were asked. There was a long process of interviews, although it did seem to be squashed into, they did seem to squash a lot of people into one day. But we can learn from this. We can see what questions should be asked, and one of them is, it seems to be not enough to have an LLB degree. You actually need to look at the person's work and see whether they have a competence and some sort of background as a lawyer before you appoint them to such an important post.
And then, of course, Kathy, because there are two sides to a story, I must ask, could there perhaps be an agenda to actually take out the public protector, even going as far as claiming and making claims and allegations of bank accounts and money being received into a bank account by the Guptas? I actually must ask, on the other side of things, could somebody be trying to oust the public protector and be coming up with all sorts of actions against her so as to discredit her?
Look, that's quite possible. There could be a conspiracy on both sides, which is why we go by the evidence. So I'm not going to assume anything on the basis of bank accounts right now. But we don't actually need to know anything about the bank accounts. We need to know whether she's doing an honest and competent job as a public protector. And for that, we've got all the case law already, and we've got the reports themselves. So as far as I'm concerned, the bank account stuff is a red herring. It's a separate issue. If she's guilty of corruption, that can be dealt with separately. Whether she's capable of being a good public protector, we can get from the law, from her current reports, and from the court judgments against her, including the Constitutional Court last Monday.
Well, you're a public law senior lecturer as well. In your opinion, do you think that she actually knows what she's doing?
No, I don't. There are too many mistakes, not only in her reports, but in the way she then tries to defend them in court. She's making the kind of mistake that a first-year student learns not to make, which is, for example, not to apply her own enabling legislation. The Public Protector Act requires her to give a hearing to anybody who's going to be implicated by her report. So at the provisional report level, she's got to inform people who are implicated by her report, listen to them, take time to consider what they say, and then somehow incorporate her response into the final report. Now, there are reports coming out where people are discovering from reading the report for the first time that they are implicated. These reports get overturned, they get overturned again. So with this level of basic mistake, I would say no, she doesn't know or she doesn't care. And then with the kind of mistakes that were identified by the North Gauteng High Court in the ABSA matter, the Bancorp matter, and confirmed by the Constitutional Court, her behavior towards the court itself has been incompetent and dishonest. So both the North Gauteng High Court and the Constitutional Court, given they talk about an incident where she gave 3 or I think 4 different explanations for not having provided the proper information to the court. And each explanation doesn't work and leads to a further clarification, which also doesn't work. So that level of either dishonesty or incompetence means basically she's not going to be able to do her job of looking after the poor.
Kathy Powell, we're going to leave it there for this afternoon.